This morning, we'll be discussing Chidimma Adetshina. For those of you that don't know who she is, she recently became Miss South Africa in South Africa, and there's been a controversy over her emergence as Miss South Africa. According to many of her critics, they're saying that her parents are illegal immigrants. Her father is Nigerian, her mother is Mozambican. So many South Africans are saying she doesn't deserve to be Miss South Africa. She's not one of us. And many have agreed, others have disagreed. What are your thoughts? You think the issue of xenophobia is gearing its head again against this girl who obviously made all the physical requirements to become Miss South Africa? You can join the conversation 081 0764 1679 09024163440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. So when we heard this story, we're all excited, happy for her, because obviously she's a Nigerian through and through. Chidimma Adetshina. Initially I was like, how is that possible? But obviously you understand that she's a mix of different cultures. But what are your thoughts when you heard this story? And because we've had a history of xenophobia in South Africa, where our brothers and sisters who live there have been threatened. Some have been killed just for being Nigerian. What are your thoughts when you read this story? Who would like to go first, Mariam?
Yes. So, of course, when I heard it, I thought it was, I thought it was going to be fantastic news all around Africa. Like, oh, this is one of us. We're happy to see that, we're being represented. And being that South Africa is like rainbow nation, and in my understanding is that, they're all welcome. You're from there, you have naturalized, you used to be a colonialist or whatever it is, white, black, whatever color you are, colored as they call them, you're all, South African. And so with Chidimma, it came across as if the reason why she was being attacked was because of the Nigerian part of her blood, As we know, as you mentioned earlier, Mariah, there's always been that rivalry between South Africa and Nigerians, and as far as even xenophobic attacks. But a part of me is also thinking, if they didn't think she was South African, why did they allow her apply for this pageantry? Why did they allow her go through the process? I'm sure they must have asked her questions and everything. So yes, by blood, I guess she's not South African, but her mom, who's Mozambican, is a naturalized South African. I've heard other stories that they said the father is an illegal immigrant, that he wasn't meant to have lived there for as long as he's lived there. But this girl, that's the only life that she knows. So a part of me was like, they're just hating. But now I sit down here in Nigeria, and I'm wondering if a South African girl were to win Miss Nigeria, how would we respond? Will we be more accommodating? And to be fair, I think we'll be more accommodating, especially if we feel that her roots have always been here. In fact, we'll carry her on the head more than anyone. That's our style, I believe. So, it's interesting because the conversation is really, what people now start saying is, why is it that black Africans, we seem to hate on each other more? It is easier for South Africans to accept someone of, white descent, who you would see clearly white, but she's South African. They praise Charlize Theron everywhere across the world, Elon Musk. All those people are South Africans. But for some reason, they are more South African than this Chidimma Adetshina, Nigerian, Mozambican, naturalized South Africa,
I was told by the producers that she hasn't won the pageant yet. She's actually a finalist.
Okay.
So hopefully she wins objectively if indeed they don't consider all these factors. But what are your thoughts when you heard about this?
It's just so that they will make sure she doesn't win that we're having this conversation, because she trended over the weekend. And the way South Africans are wired. No apologies. They have their history. They have their history. We see them now. All of us saw the xenophobic attack and how they wired black on black hate. It's something that they are known for, and I think their government should be deliberate about working against it. This is one of such cases where if she were to emerge, it would be a South African statement to the world about their new stand as regards black on black hate. It's important that they start to put out that narrative, that people start to see them differently. South Africa is known for tourism. They're known for when they promote the beauty of their nation, how they promote and say they're accommodating. But we know tourism, of course, is a revenue earner for them. And they shouldn't just promote that side of them, with, speaking with two sides of the mouth. Sometimes when you put a national event out, it's your PR to the world. Imagine a Chidimma, because they are having the conversation, so me too now. Imagine a Nigerian winning that event, that pageant, and how it will go around the world for the proper PR South Africa needs right now. And I hope that the thinkers of the nation will see it that way. Any other way is just going to be endorsing the history, which I know and all of us have read and seen about South Africa. This is the time for South Africa to be deliberate about what they do, the organizers of that pageant, the government of that nation. This is the time. And this girl, boy, she's a beautiful girl.
Yes.
She's a beautiful girl, and
she is.
She's gorgeous. Her mom is, naturalized South African. I was just saying this morning, myself, Amaka, and Ogalu were speaking and using certain words in English and interpreting it in a different dialect. And we had about 10 words that had common sounds from my Esako roots to the Igbo to the Urobo roots of Ogali. And we called numbers, words, bags, names, and they were all similar. And I was like, if only these white people did not interrupt us, by now we would have evolved to a common language and word. And that language will be able to take ownership of it. But that interruption of... Yes, it will be national. And that interruption cost us this, that we are now, everybody's still defending, and from here, and from there, and from that, and from that. Trade, intermarriage, and all of that would have made us one. Eventually, would have, understood all the way to Ghana. Yeah, naturally. So we are one whether we like it or not, as Africans. And because time has interrupted us, we must now deliberately push out that thing that will foster us. You see today, there's a page I follow online, because these days to read news is a difficult thing. You don't want to be reading bad things every time. So I follow a marriage wedding page, and I see how every time in the UK, Nigerians who have lived there and raised kids there, they intermarry tribes that if you had told my grandfather, they would have shouted, Ebuye, they would never allow it to happen. But now you see Nigerians marry the Zambians, Zimbabweans, they marry, in fact, there was an Iraqi-Nigerian marriage. That was Iraq, Nigeria. I shocked. And they brought in their cultures. And I love those two pages I follow, where they show those weddings and all of that. And they brought in those cultures. It was really beautiful to see. So give it a few years. When those people born children, will those children be deciding whether they're Iraqis or, we would have evolved. And this is what...
Okay, so first of all, I want to applaud and congratulate her for making the finalist.
Yes, sir.
She's such a beautiful and gorgeous lady. Congratulations, and I hope you win the cup. But then I don't think this is about South African and Nigerian or black-on-black hate, because this is not the first time that they're having this kind of issue. In 2001, a Portuguese Angolan girl won the Miss African crown, the contest, and then she went through the same backlash and everything. So what we should be looking at is the fact that they don't really accept people, but then it's not for you to accept people of other immigrants from other places. For the fact that people are born, right, in a particular country, automatically that makes you a South African, and then
according to their constitution.
Yes, according to your constitution, and you have a South African passport. And then this Miss South African pageant organization, they have certain rules and regulations for you to qualify. And then if you're South African, you own a valid passport, you qualify. So it has nothing to do with what people think of that we're Nigerian or it's black-on-black hate. Absolutely not. It's not about that. It's just about them wanting someone that is, their parents are South African, someone that is South African, rooted in South Africa to win that. But unfortunately, if the people, those type of people are not coming up to contest, and then you have representatives, people that are South African, right? Contesting. So have an open mind. This is 2024 for crying out loud.
One of the things this conversation brings to mind is how, I think what Mariam said earlier, how we Nigerians would have reacted if it was us. Within our, so we have a way of something Nigerian, we can defend it. We can fight amongst ourselves, But as long as it's something against the international world, oh my goodness, Nigerians will rally around that side. We don't care. As long as you're Nigerian, they will fight for you. But why are we so different, though? We seem somewhat different from other African nations. Why do you think that?
I'm thinking maybe it's the years that we've had to be independent of the colonialists. You know, I used to be almost naive when I'm like, this colonialism happened many years ago. We should get over it. And then I read Trevor Noah's book, and he was talking about things that happened in the 80s. I said 80s, when we were already our own organs. These people were still dealing with things. So, of course, I think that mentality, where they're fighting for their identity, you know, strongly fighting for their identity, and that is why we would see things like that. We want to be South Africa. We don't want you to mistake us for any other thing. This country does not belong. But then, so that's on the one hand. But then there's the nationalistic picture or view that South African, I think Mandela helped create, which is everybody that is here, we're one people. Let's not keep fighting each other. So it looks like the South African people themselves are struggling with that view. Are they willing to be a rainbow nation indeed, where everyone is welcome and we are one people? Or would they just prefer to go back to their, you know, who they are, like individually? But then, you know, South Africa has like so many languages and so many ethnicities. I'm like, why would you people just try quickly and find one picture, one language or a few languages and a view of who you are and, you know, move on from there. And finally, what I see is that for countries who have accepted that, you know, people that come and live in their communities and are part of the communities, help to grow their communities, do better than those who are constantly fighting for, oh, this is where I'm from, this is where you're from. They don't tend to do so well. Look at the names I mentioned, Elon Musk, Charlize Theron. See how Oyimbos have just carried them as if they've always been Oyimbos with them, you know?
Exactly.
As long as you're doing something positively for your community, people should accept you and push you and make you more a part of that community. That's what's more important in my...
Yeah, I don't agree that it's because of our we've been like this. Nigerians are accommodating people. You roll over to one community in Nigeria, you don't speak their language, and you find a place to sleep. You know, somebody would accommodate you and even protect you. I think what we are now is a fallout of even strange, because the stories back then is that you're safe anywhere you are in Nigeria. We had a very strong history where we love in accommodating people. If a mistakenly mixed Nigerian with South African blood appeared somewhere in the world, Nigerians will rally there.
Yes.
And do the needful to get you there. We just like, and if we did not have a Nigerian on the platform, we had just one African. It is these same Nigerians who have the money for data and phone. We are the ones running the social media, social medium in all this whatever. We are the ones who buy data. Even the platforms know. And we will go there with all the love in us. We have it. Our energy is love. We are kind people. That's who we are. There's no other narrative. But Amaka, whether you like it or not, there's history
okay, I have
of xenophobia in South Africa, and it has a meaning. It's black on black hate. It's something South Africa cannot shy away from. You don't carry razor and wipe it. You deliberately change mindsets.
Yes. Let me read this
take care of it.
Message from someone who has said it anonymously, lives in Nigeria and lives in South Africa. Said being a naturalized Nigerian in South Africa is just on paper. Forget what they say. Their action speaks louder than words. And they do this to other African migrants as well. So it's not only Nigerians. My daughter is an athlete and wasn't allowed to participate at the provincial level because she isn't an indigene. That clause is always there, but you never read about it until you're dealing with the system. Then she says animosity towards Nigeria, that one is just sheer envy. They can't accept how good Nigerians can get. So that's on one hand. So obviously for those who live there, they understand that there's a system that, you know.
Let me take this call. Honorable Sunday from Benin. Hello, sir. I can't hear. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning.
Reduce the volume of your TV screen so I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. Yes. Yes. Let's rally around. Let's all...
Hello, sir. Sorry, we couldn't hear you properly.
So Nigerians are happy people, right? And it seems like somehow we have a bit of time. I don't want to say too much time on our hands, whereby we're constantly looking for the next thing to jump on. That's a reality, okay?
Yeah.
And yes, we're constantly looking for what next to jump on, what next to support, what's in the trending thing. What
You know, right?
Yeah, so it's
Economy is so hard. We are looking for where to find
crazy
happiness.
because when you look at other countries, people are busy doing 9 to 5, people are working. They don't jump on things as much as Nigerians we do. It has its positives in the sense that, you know, we push certain narratives and we support and we're there. But then sometimes it has its own negatives, right? And then Nigerians are not just hated in South Africa. Nigerians are basically hated everywhere because we do very well. We excel.
They're not hated, they're envied.
Yeah, they're envied. Okay, so we excel. That's just who we are as a people. But then, you know, like how, but we also need to try, I don't believe in putting yourself down to please people around you, right? But then, like Maria said sometime, you also have to be diplomatic in how you relate or be intentional about how you build relationships with people. Even if people are uncomfortable about certain things about you, that doesn't mean you should dim your light. But then you can manage it. So Nigerians now need to learn that this is an issue we're having across borders. How do we're loud people. How do we manage, we flaunt our wealth.
And how do they manage us? Anyway, let me take this call because we have to wrap up on this call. Good morning, Simi, I believe.
Good morning.
Oh, Simon, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. I just want to contribute to your program. It's so unfortunate for Chidimma. Some countries, when you go, they have laws, but those laws are not really working. How can a South African law, which favors this thing like that, and then...
Okay, lost that. Let's take a few comments and then we wrap up on this.
We have Moses Lawa. He said, we expect love and respect for us from outsiders, but we denigrate and curse our nation openly. When we boldly call our country a zoo, whatever, what respect do we expect from other people that are normal products of those places?
Any other comments? Okay. I think we can pretty much wrap up on this. But I think in a nutshell, really, we are rooting for Chidimma. We're hoping that she wins. And it's important to highlight these things when they do happen because, as Nima has said, there is a history of xenophobia in South Africa. And when we realize that the community itself should be intentional about changing the view or the perception other people have of South Africa concerning non-South Africans that live in their country. So it's important for us to just support Chidimma and wishing her the best, that hopefully she's able to win the pageant, and we can also celebrate her all the way here. And
so that's the thing. Let's her win the pageant and let South Africa celebrate her. When we now celebrate her, she has taken it home.
Now. Even Mozambique too celebrate her.
Yes.
The whole of Africa
that's what Africa was hoping.
Because the goal is that she would not represent South Africa in the Miss Universe pageant.
And they were calling Chidimma, not Bonang.
But she's African. Now our turn.
You know?